Very good afternoon. Welcome to the Vet's Guide to Using Uniform. My name is Kath Smith from NMR, and I'm joined today by Graham Knoll, Uniform Agri. So we're very much doing a joint venture today to show you some key reports in Uniform that will be of the utmost interest from a vet and advisor perspective, where to find things, what to look for, and why, really. Just before we start, a few little housekeeping bits. During the webinar, you should have a control panel on the right hand side, so you can ask questions, type them in, absolutely fine throughout the presentation. We'll come to those at the end, or we may contact you directly to help you out there. You can also raise your hand if you want to, and hopefully you can hear me because I'm talking right now. If not, there might be a little setting you can adjust for your computer audio if you've gone through your laptop. So without further ado, first of all, we're going to go into Uniform from a farm perspective. So this is looking at the local copy installed on a farm if you're having a chat with your client while you're actually there. And I'd like to hand over to Graham to kick things off with the dashboard.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kath. So this is what you'll see when you look at the program. At the top, obviously, we've got a breakdown of the number of animal and the status that they're in. We can see how good the data quality is. Obviously, if we haven't got any barren cows, we've got no PD negative cows, then question marks arise. We then have the action list, and on the action list, for example, we can see there's 57 cows to PD, and there's only one that's overdue. We're on top of the drying offs, and in terms of calvings, there's 14 to calve over the selected period, and 2 of those are overdue. Then the next line, that's really where we're picking up information from either the parlor or maybe activity systems. So the ketosis warning, that is based purely on milk meter yields. So that's all it is. We set it up and we say that if the production isn't going up as quickly as we'd expect over 60 days, that cow will then appear on there as a warning, and we would just click and that would take us in. The low milk is the same. We look at basically the average of the last 21 recordings, and if we just click on that, it will then show us the production over the last 21 individual recordings, and then the production on the last recording, and then we can see the percentage deviation. So it's a really handy report that we can run after the milking just to highlight any cows that have problems. Maybe they kick the units off, but it could be something else as well. So if we go back to the dashboard, we then have conductivity, any animals that are on a milk withdrawal, and then we have the ketosis risk. Now, this was a report that we did throughout Europe, basically with the help of Elanco. They produced really the sort of the relevant information to pull out the cows that we thought that could be at risk. With Uniform, really, if you want to go and look more deeply at a report, generally off the dashboard, we can just click. So if we click here, this will take us into the reports. So these are the 3 cows that we're highlighting. And again, with Uniform, if you want to look at what's behind the reports, we would go down to properties. And in properties there, we can see the days before the expected calving date when the animals are going to appear, and they will fall off the list when they go past that selected period. If we go to reasons, what we can see here, the ones that are in dark, those are the ones that you can adjust, and the other ones are preset. So we're pulling out animals over a certain lactation number, or that have been expected dry period is going to be more than 70 days. The calving interval is more than 480, then the cow will appear on the list. And again, we can put in a figure for production. We have the fat and protein ratio at the first milk recording after calving off the previous lactation, and then any transition diseases that occurred within the last 30 days. We did a really, really enjoyable, 20 workshops starting in Scotland, going right down to the bottom. And we showed customers this report and said very much, this is a report that you should be discussing with your vet to put in the settings that are relevant for the farm. So really it's just showing that these cows have the possibility of ketosis because of these factors. But as I stressed, this is one that we really need the input of the vets and the consultants. So let's cancel that. So we can see there the second cow, she's on there because of the lactation number. We see the number of lactations, she's 7 lactation. She's also got twins as well, again, which could be a reason, and her expected 305 production is higher than the level that we've put in. So let's close that. Go back to the dashboard. Good. So all the things that are set up there, if they're not set up correctly or you don't believe that they have the right things on there, please call us and we will go in and we will help set it up for the customer. You can find the support number if you just highlight over the phone, and if you phone and say, you know, they haven't got preg rate, insemination rate or conception rate, then we will very happily log in and we will fix that. So we're looking at the Farmer's PC, and I just wanted to show you 3 reports and kind of explain a little bit why we would look at them. So if we go to the cow's head, that will take you to the main menu of the uniform program on the farm. We go to fertility, and you'll see there's a lot of reports there. I'm not going to show you every one. I'm just going to show you 3 that I think are really relevant. So the first one is the overview. And this just looks at the entire herd, young stock and cows, over a period of time. So we start off per month with the number of cows that were in milk. We can look at the average 305 production, how many cows were sold or died. We then start looking at the young stock, and we can then break it down, for example, the number of inseminations to get them pregnant, age at first insemination. We scroll a little bit further down, we can look at the gestation period, number of abortions, a lot of information there. That will then take us down to the cows. And on the cows, we've got average days to first service, conception rates, and days to pregnant, and then historical, expected, and predicted calving interval. I think one really good way of looking at it, 12 months is fine, but there's a lot of data there. If you want to change the format of the report, go to properties. And if we select, let's say, for the last 5 years, so we go to yearly, we pop in 5, and if we want to keep the report like that, if we click on Save Settings, then say OK, you'll then see we pull out the data of the last 5 years. So if we go right back up to the top again, we can see that the cow numbers have gone from 372 to 486. We can see that the production went up to 11,000 in 2023. It's the 305 production, and the expected at the moment is dropping a little bit. And then we can see all the key factors, I think, that are relevant on the fertility side for this herd over a period of time. So if we close that report, and we then go back to fertility, so that the overview is very much looking at the entire herd over a selected period. The one number 10 is slightly different. That's looking at cows that calved in that particular period. So that period could be monthly, it could be quarterly, and again, it could be yearly. But obviously, if they're calving all year round, you'd probably want to look at the last 12 months. So we can see the number of cows that calved in. We can see how many were pregnant, average days to heat, all the sort of key figures. And just one little tip, very often we'll get phone calls on the help desk and say, I can't find the 100-day in calf or 200 days not in calf. If you scroll down on the right-hand side, you'll then see the figures are there. Any figure that is in grey, that's grey because we're still awaiting a result. So it could be a result of a PD. That means the data is not yet complete. If you click on it and we go into that actual section of data on the blue eye, you'll then be able to see which cows we're waiting for data. So we're still waiting for a result on that cow number 33. So where we have the black bit in there, that's where we're still waiting for a bit of data. This herd is doing really well. It's 500 cows. We have something called suspicious data, and the quality of the data is really good. That's only 2 bits of information we don't like the look of. So let's close that. Back into fertility. So 3.1 is a good overview. 3.10 is how we follow a group of animals. But this is probably one of the main reports I just wanted you to be able to look at, and this is the US KPI reports. So on this one, we can look at it by days in milk, or we can look at it by 3-week period. I tend to look at it by 3-week period, but obviously, however you want to set it up, that's fine. If we just hover over the week, you'll be able to see the dates that are involved. And essentially, if we just look at that week, we had 90 animals eligible to be inseminated. We inseminated 69. So the insemination rate for that period was 76%. Overall, we're running at 67%. So we were doing pretty good. But we can see how that rate has fluctuated throughout the year. So week 31 to 33, we were down in the 50s, and that was during the summer. So we can see, are we serving enough cows? And if we go across, we're then able to look at the number of cows that we got pregnant. So in fact, that's quite interesting, the one we've highlighted. The insemination rate was actually very high, but if we look at the preg rate, it was 22.5. If we look at the one where we had the insemination rate was lower, you can see there it was 60%, and the preg rate was up at 30%. So the conception rate for that period was far greater. So it's a little bit, are we serving enough cows? And if we're serving enough cows, are they actually holding? What happens is quite often the farmers will look at this and then they close it, but there's a lot more information buried in here. So if we go to conception rate, you'll then see on the left-hand side, we can break it down by all these different ways. So we can look at it by the number of inseminations. What was the conception rate for animals inseminated on the second insemination? We can look at the lactation number. We can look, for example, at the individual inseminator, how they're doing. We can look at it by the bull. So if we just select the bull, and then if we click on inseminated, we can then see, click again, we can see the cows that were served the most and what the conception rate was for that particular bull. We're even able to break it down by split it into periods. So that can be quite interesting if there's a new inseminator, for example, or maybe somebody's had a training course and things like that, we can really see how things are going. If we then go down again, we're able to look at it by the day of the week. We can look at it by the month, as calendar dates. And if we scroll right down to the bottom, if anybody's doing a form of a managed heat, we're able to compare that with the natural heat as well. So obviously they have to record it correctly. They have to say what type of managed heat it is. But if we do that, we can compare the two. So it's a really, really powerful report, this one. Let's close that. So those are the three reports I wanted to show you. And just one last thing, it's always nice to have a good visual guide of what's happening. So if we go back to fertility, this one here, herd fertility status. This just basically shows us each dot is a cow. We then have the voluntary waiting period. The color denotes the status, and where she appears on the grid denotes the milk yield. So it's quite easy to pull out, for example, that cow there. We can see that she's nearly 100 days in milk, the blue one. And on the right hand side, we can see which particular cow that was. So if you just put the cursor on it, that'll bring it up. Okay, so that's a way that we can look at the farmer's PC, but we also wanted to make you aware of how you're able to look at the herd remotely, not from the farmer's PC. So before my voice gives out, sorry, I'm going to pass you over to Kath.
No problem at all. Right. So yeah, the brand new version of Uniform then on the cloud means that you can access it from anywhere via any portal at all through here. And here's one I made earlier. So once you've logged in, this is essentially your your selection of herds to choose from. A bit like your dashboard, but it does give you a really nice landing page to view every herd together, just to pick out any particular problems before you delve in. And as soon as I click on the herd, you'll see, oh yeah, this looks familiar now. But you can see, firstly, the last process date. So how fresh is this data? Has the farm backed up and sent it across to the cloud recently? And you can see from this one, yeah, it's happening every day. And that's an automatic process as well. So there's no onus on the farmer to remember to back up for you. Then you've got different parameters across here. So you could have a look at fertility and pick out anything that is outside the range of what's normal for that herd. And then you've got a starting point with which to investigate. So if I just double click on this one, it opens up that herd. And there you go. You've got a very, very familiar looking dashboard with which to explore. So these things all move around. You can grab and swap things over, make it your own. You've also got your favorites across the toolbar up here. So any particular reports like the KPIs that we were just looking at, that's all in there. And then we have the cow head across here, much the same. So your menu structure is identical, really. So in here, just to pick out a few different bits, we've got the health and treatments tab. And then we have one for mastitis. Now, if you're familiar with the older version, 5.4, we've got mastitis analysis in there, much the same as the older one, but it's a real fresh look and feel. So mastitis cases through the month, And you can choose your option of breaking down. So it's very easy to swap around here to have a look at maybe days since calving, any particular clinical cases or trends going on there. And then you can break it down even further with a percentage. That's quite nice just to see proportion of the herd that has been affected, how many are occurring in each particular window. If I then jump back, now I could go to cowhead and start again, but you do also have a pathway. So this is across the board for both versions. If I want to go back to the mastitis menu, just click there, and then I can have a look at the overview. Now this is brand new, this one. So this is only on the cloud, and it's bringing together a bit more of the mastitis and the cell count information combined. So by month, we can see how many cases of mastitis are occurring, what types of cases they are. We've got a threshold for how many we should be, expecting or are acceptable levels each month. And then again, as I scroll down, cases by stage of lactation and bringing in the cell count. So what does the cell count look like compared to the mastitis cases, which previously we've had to draw out from 2 different places. So it's really about bringing that information together in a handy format. And all of these reports, you can print preview down here. You can download from the cloud into a report as well as a PDF. Back on the health side, if I go back to the number 4 in the management, we can then look at number 34, health event analysis. So this one brings out all of the health conditions that the farmer has recorded. I'll just make that a little bit wider. So you don't have to tick any boxes or select which type of health events you would like to see. Anything that's been recorded as a health condition is listed here, and then we can see what's the incidence like over time. So have we got some seasonality coming through, or suddenly something's cropped up at a particular time of year or batch of cows. So by condition over month, by days in milk as well. So have we got early lactation issues, late lactation, something or other, or by lactation number, older cows versus, first lactation heifers. So there's very easy ways in which you can analyze the data quite quickly there. Okay, Graham, back to you.
What about cell counts?
Cell counts, yes, I haven't finished yet. What am I saying? I'm going to go back to cowhead. Sorry, missed my note there. Number 4 again, cell count analysis. So 4.1, and these are all numbered as well, by the way. So if this is new to you, you can search for a particular report as well as saving it as a favorite. So cell count report, very, very, familiar. It does what it says on the tin. We've got the latest recording here, and you can see by the arrow, this is the order in which they are in, so descending cell count order. We've got the last 6 months worth of cells, and they are color coded for a particular reason. So if I hover the mouse over, a purple is a chronic, over that threshold this time and last time. We've got some new cases sneaking through, and you might be able to make out we've got some green ones on here as well for cured cows. How many times they've been high. The threshold is here, preset, but you can adjust it either on the farm copy or on this one as well, just to take that threshold down a bit. We've got some really good graphs as well, so you can look at your cell counts through all sorts of ways, trends over time, how one recording compares to another, that sort of thing. And then there's a very good summary, which again you can build up your sort of cure rates, how many cows are chronics and that sort of thing as well.
Okay, so this version here at the moment, the data goes from the farm to the vet's version. You can't enter data on this, nope. But the data will be accurate as of up to the end of yesterday. But it means that if you want to monitor the herd that maybe has a problem remotely, it's a really nice way of being able to do it.
Yes.
And I just wanted to show a little bit on milk production, because we're trying to really concentrate on showing you fertility, health, and production. So if we go to milk management, the one that there's a number of ways we can look at the 305. It gives us a breakdown of first calvers, second calvers, and older cows. That can be done on realized, and it can also be done on expected. We have obviously the completed lactations. We have daily milk meter yields, but I just wanted to show you the milk production graph. So if we go into there, super. Right, if we just scroll down a little bit, this herd we have milk meters, which is good. So we can just scroll down and go to show days in milk. So what we're looking at now is the production in 2024 for the cows that were between 0 to 60, 60 to 120. If we just scroll up, I can show it there, 120 to 200, blah, blah, blah. So if I take out everything bar the 0 to 60, this is a good way to look basically at the production of all those animals between 0 to 60 days throughout the year. If we scroll down a little bit, we're looking at this on average milk production. We have a very good tool called standard peak production, which is a recalculated yield, which essentially enables us to compare first calvers with second calvers and second calvers with older cows. So if you want to look at average production, that's fine, but I tend to look at it using SPP. So if we look here, so if we had a large number of heifers coming in February, that won't distort the figures because the SPP will be recalculated to take into account the fact that they're second lactation animals. And if we look at all of them together on SPP, if they're all in a straight line, then they're pretty much following a lactation curve. And so looking at this herd, this is very much what we see. I can't really pick out anything there that says to me, well, the stale cows were doing badly, because it's pretty much a straight line. If I look in 2023, you'll see there we have quite a difference really between the cows at 0 to 60 days and the cows the slightly older lactation. So this can be a very good visual guide if there is an issue on the farm where we can look at it and we can monitor it. And again, as a help desk, if we get questions from the farmer or from the advisors, we're really happy to log in and just help you with that. So if we close that one, I just wanted to take you over to one where we're able to look at which animals are actually coming into the herd. So this is a new report that's only on the cloud version. If we go to fertility, we go to milking herd prediction. And what we're then able to do is we can look at it and we can see how many cows and young stock are coming in, but we can really break it down a lot more. If we go across to the grid, what we can do there is we can break it down to the amount of dairy semen that's coming in and beef semen. And obviously we work on confirmed pregnancies initially, and then we have to make assumptions as we're looking further ahead. If we go to the expand button on the bottom left, this was really, really popular at the workshops because, okay, we know that we have X number of animals, 21 for example, are coming in. We can see that 15 was dairy semen, but we're also able to see where we've used sex semen as well. So that gives us a better indication to be able to plot the future in the next 2 years for the number of animals that we have coming in. Okay, so if we close that and we go back to the dashboard. So to find our way around uniform, cow's head, always cow's head. If we're looking, for example, at fertility, we go to fertility. We want to have a look at the US KPIs, not on the farmer version, now on the cloud version, we go in. And you can see we've kept the logic pretty much the same. The difference is that everything loads a lot more quickly. You don't have to get mouse hints over the top to find the dates. And we're also on the cloud version able to break down sex semen as well on the US KPIs. So there's a lot of information there that's being built up by the farmer that's putting that information in each day to be able to have up-to-date action lists, to be able to do medicine records, to be able to do births, movements and deaths. And we also then are able to then take that information so that the advisor, the vet, the consultant is able to access that data remotely and hopefully make informed decisions to help the farmer. That's about all that I wanted to cover, Kath. Is there anything else you wanted to show?
I just wanted to add on this last little bit, because this was a question that popped up on Twitter just the other day. Somebody was saying they really wanted to be able to do conception rate by lactation number, which we can now filter out. So I could just choose my first lactation heifers and then break it down again by days in milk or by any other option that's listed in here. So this is a really quick way now. We can just get to the exact animals that we want, you know, sorted by the particular filters that you need. And you can also bring out, we probably need to do a part 2, Graham, at some stage, but we've got report export wizard now, so you can actually bring out all of these different bits together in one handy document. So more to follow. I think we might have a couple of questions. KPI report is on the on-farm program, and yeah, just and the professional, so on, yeah, vet copy and farmer copy. Absolutely fine. One for you, Graham. Are all uniform users going to be changed to the cloud base eventually?
Yeah, eventually, but there's still a tremendous amount of work ongoing because we're completely rewriting all the links. We're rewriting the data entry. So there will be some of the cloud reports will be appearing on the existing 5.4. There's still more developments going ahead with 5.4. Long term, that will be the position, but it is long term. But the fact that we have the reports available now is why, yeah, we're promoting it to the consultants and to the veterinarians.
Perfect. One other question on batch calving. Now in 5.4, just going back to the farmer copy, there's another thing as well. Just check your farmers have got the latest version, 1906. Any issues with that, you know, get them to give us a ring. But that version does include, or can include, I think there's a switch on we have to do to enable a block calving time frame. Shall I show them?
Yeah, because I get very excited by this. This is something that, yeah, we've wanted for a long time, and we've now got it. We're still in the process of turning it on for customers, so it's probably going to take about another month, I guess. And what we'll do is we'll be sending out a movie explaining exactly how you do it. But essentially what you have to do is you put a tick in where it says block calving attentions. You can then have a service period 1 if you're doing autumn, service period 2 if you're doing spring, and it will then bring that information out. And what that means is then you don't get the gaps on the US KPI where you have to keep going into properties and changing the date range. So that's going to be much better. But that will be rolled out over the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks. I'm really happy somebody asked that question.
And the final one, unless there's anybody frantically typing, we'll give you a minute. Ketosis reports, are they restricted to the farmer one? Yes. So the version 6 that's on the cloud is very much a moving feast, so bits are being added all the time. But at the moment, your ketosis reports will be on the 5.4.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody want to raise their hand? We can also do that. No, but if you're all good, that looks to be all on the list.
Okay, we will be sending this out as a movie that will go out tomorrow, Kath, yeah?
Yes, it will do, yes.
So, yeah, if I've gone too fast, I apologize, but you will be receiving a movie of this. And we haven't shown you everything at all. We just wanted to show you what we thought were the most important reports on fertility, health and production. So hopefully you found that helpful.
Excellent. Thank you all very much for attending, and yeah, more to come. Watch this space.